Find a new owner or face a ban from U.S. app stores. That's the new directive for TikTok after President Biden signed a bill into law meant to force a social media app to separate itself from its Chinese-based owners and, in part, the Chinese government. We've talked to the bill's co-author, Congressman Krishnamorthi, when it first made it out of committee. Many wondered, hey, how far would it go? It would be a heck of a feat if it becomes law, and it became law in pretty quick order. A Congressman joining us again. Congressman, thank you for your time.
Hey, good morning, Brad.
Remarkable here, and a bipartisan effort, which is even more remarkable considering the temperature of politics right now. So some have called this a ban on TikTok. You've say it's not a ban. I mean, obviously there is a big difference between a ban and a for sale, but for sale says something. So this has happened before. You mentioned it, the LGBTQ dating app Grindr. Explain to us when Grindr was basically forced to separate from its owner, also a very popular app. How did that work? I mean, how do you force a sale and separation?
Well, in the case of Grindr, just to refresh the facts, essentially it was acquired by a Chinese company. And when the U.S. government found out that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, had access to sensitive personal data of LGBTQ members of the U.S. military and government, they basically forced the sale, meaning the Chinese company had the option to either sell or not be able to operate Grindr within the United States. And of course, they chose to sell.
Wow.
It was sold quickly and without disruption to users.
Okay, and wow, talk about an app that has sensitive information on it, and so this is kind of the template for what we're looking for now. However, Chinese owners, ByteDance, say it's not for sale. They plan to sue. How does a lawsuit work? How does a lawsuit work when you pass a law, the president signs it, and then they file a lawsuit? I mean, this could gum things up. How does it work? Let's go quickly here because I got a couple more questions for you.
Short answer is I don't know. I think that it's up to ByteDance to decide how they're going to proceed. But in any case, this is the law of the land as of this moment. And I suspect that if there is litigation, it'll probably go right up to the Supreme Court. But I feel very confident about this particular law, which was negotiated and basically had a lot of input from the Biden administration based on the Trump and Biden administration's legal experience challenging ByteDance in the courts and other litigation.
Yeah, both sides coming together. So a Supreme Court that is clearly divided, but if both sides are coming together, one would think the Supreme Court would toss any ByteDance fight against this legally. So the bipartisan support, again, criticism has grown, obviously a lot from teens and tweens who probably don't realize the potential negative aspects of data collection by the Communist government of China. But are you sending at all a message, or some have said, you know, why not target Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? We know they're doing that same stuff to us. We know they are selling our information. We know they're gathering it. Is this a first salvo into that, or is this just TikTok specific?
Well, I think this is a first salvo into the general issue of protecting our data from threats emanating, whether they are from abroad or domestically. I think that we have to regulate the privacy of our data with regard to those domestic threats. But Brad, I think that there was consensus that at the least we have to defend the data from threats emanating from hostile powers or foreign adversaries with control of social media apps. And that's why there was so much speed and consensus on this particular piece of legislation.
Yeah, we talked to Congressman Darren LaHood, of course, Illinois, but a Republican. He's on the Intelligence Committee. He said, without doubt, China is the greatest threat to America. I'll give the final word to you, Congressman. There's going to be an uproar about this because a lot of people make money from this app, especially the young kids. They probably don't, necessarily know the threats. Final sentence to you on why it's important.
Well, I think that I haven't yet met a single person, whether they are young or old, who would prefer an app such as TikTok controlled by the CCP to an app that is not controlled by the CCP.
Right.
So in other words, we want this to continue to operate. We want this to be a platform that Americans can use. We just don't want it to be controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. And that is what this whole piece of legislation is about. And that's why surveys, since the legislation first passed, of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, largely favor this legislation.
Okay, Congressman, final word to you. Thank you. Bill's author. We'll be right back.